Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. First thing I want to talk about is spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare usually comes at your time of transitioning in your season. Anything new developing in your life is when spiritual warfare comes into play, because the devil knows that you're getting closer to a blessing. Hold on. And I wanted to touch on that. That usually comes in the break of your blessing. When you get closer to your blessing, or when you're close in obedience with God, the devil tries to sabotage and try to come up with something quick for you to sabotage your blessing, or make you feel like that you can't make it through it. So what advice that I'll have to say is, when you feel that, and you will know that you're going through spiritual warfare, and when you're having attacks, you'll know when those times happening, when things are getting a little bit tougher for you, or when you just feel like you're being defeated in all things that you do, or when it's one thing after another, or when it gets hard, or when people are attacking you. It's nothing but the trick of the enemy. And what he knows, he knows that you're closer, your blessings are closer to you than you do. So I usually change perspective and think, okay, I'm not going through this for no reason. If I'm going through this, it's because God has something great for me and the devil's running out of time. So that is the hardest part. Spiritual warfare can be hard, but you also have to be careful with your words and don't speak things over yourself, because that's how another way that spiritual warfare can happen. Okay, and the best advice that I can give when these things happen is to pray. Talk to God while you're doing it. Consult with him with things before you consult with your friends and family about things first. Just keep pushing. Like, the storm always ends. That's what I tell myself all the time. The storm always ends. It never lasts long. Bad days. So bad days are usually normal for pretty average person. Bad days are usually normal for the average person. Anybody can have bad days. Now that I tell people all the time, we live in a paradox world. Good don't happen without bad, and bad don't happen without good. You can't really run from bad days. The only thing you can do is go through with it. And like I said again, as you go through with it, pray. Like, literally just pray. That's all you can do, and continue to push on. Don't let things get to your spirit. Don't let things get to you. Don't let bad days make you make decisions that you're gonna regret later, or do anything that really is stress. That's positive. Like for me, when I get stressed out, my new thing now is like, I'm gonna go to the gym. If you're stressing me out, I'm gonna go to the gym, because at the end of the day, I'm also benefiting myself, and it keeps me out of trouble. You gotta stay busy, staying connected with God, and this should happen. Staying connected with God can be hard throughout your spirituality, especially when you're transitioning from being a part of the world and going into not being a part of the world. For instance, if you're a person that likes to club a lot, it might be harder for you to stay close to God, because that's what you're used to doing every weekend. You fight to stay connected, and sometimes we get so consumed with condemnation and stuff that we think just because we did it, that God doesn't give us grace or forgive us when we do those things. Jesus died on the cross for us because he doesn't want condemnation to make us think we're not worthy of going to heaven just because we sinned or we're struggling with a bad habit. Don't let those things get to you. Okay, when you feel like you're far away from God, or you've done something and you feel like you can't go back to him because of those things, just remember that you're not perfect, and he's gonna accept you with all your flaws, no matter what it is, what your sexuality is, what color you are, or what you've done to your past. None of those things define you, because he knows your heart and he created you. Those are usually the hardest times, but a part of it, the way God turns things around, is like, instead of him looking at it as a problem, he always looks for the solution to things. So instead of him looking at it as a bad thing, he looks at it as a thing, okay, yes, you done this. Yes, you drank today after I helped you not drink for 6 months, but you relapsed. out of that, even though you went away from me or went against what I told you, it's gonna make you come back to me because now you need me. So does it a sin? Yes. But is he gonna condemn you? I mean, every time you use condemnation against you so you can't be with him? No. So don't think that. Don't think it's just like, don't make this sin repetitive to where you know, oh yeah, God's gonna give me grace. That's just pure ignorance. But if you're transitioning and wanting truly to change, because God sees your heart. So in your heart, if you're truly trying to change, don't let condemnation get to you. And I'm gonna put down the link to Pastor Michael Todd's service on condemnation and how you don't have to use condemnation in comparison to condemnation to define you or define your place with God, because that's what Jesus died on the cross for us for. So that'll be in the description box below if you want to watch that. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is motivation to stay within your journey, especially for us young people, because we get so caught up in the world that we live in social media, relationships, the way we want to live, when we don't focus on where we want to be spiritually, and we're lukewarm. We got one foot in spirituality and one foot out, or we believe in God, and we're trying to change. But how can me coming straight out of the world into my spirituality and taking that step, how can I stay motivated? You have to give yourself grace. You're gonna mess up. Things aren't always gonna be perfect. You're gonna fall short of sin. But as long as you are growing and you notice it firsthand and you be like, okay, yes, I fell short of sin, but I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to not do it again, because this time, now that I feel guilty about it, I'm gonna do better. Yeah, we're gonna do better. Another thing that I can say is community. And make sure you have community and people that are gonna hold you accountable. Be around people, friends and family that are in their spiritual walk as well, that's gonna hold you accountable. So if you're doing something wrong, they be like, hey, like, get back to what you was doing. Like, what are we doing? Get back to it. Once you realize that you can't live without God, you're gonna run back to him every time, baby. What I realize is, even when I fall short, whether it's me drinking, cursing, because these are things I'm being humble over and transparent, so things that I still struggle with, contacting exes, y'all, I still make sure in those times where I know that if it's not pleasing God, I run to him and just ask him for strength, because you can't do it by yourself. No matter how hard you try, it's entirely impossible to do it by yourself. And not only that, practice makes progress. And the more you practice something, the better the habit becomes. So I realized, okay, the more I work on this, the more I'm into it, on better benefiting myself and changing it. I have to give myself grace. It's gonna take day by day for me to gradually get better, because the person that I am right now today, I wasn't 2 years ago, I wasn't a year ago, I wasn't yesterday, I wasn't 2 weeks ago. It takes day-to-day progression to get to where you want to be. You just have to give yourself grace, because it's not gonna happen overnight. But ask God to meet you halfway, because it's a partnership. We can't do it on our own. It's entirely impossible. And all of that, when you make God, let me go get my notebook. Discipline turns into a desire. So the more disciplined you stay in something, as far as your spirituality, as far as journaling, as far as praying to God, it starts to become a desire. You will want to do it more often. And that's what it has become to me for these past 2 years. I have 7 of these. In these past 2 years, I write in them every day. It went from me doing it, at first, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, when I first started doing this was just a check on the checklist for me, like, for real. And then I did some research, and it takes 21 days to develop a new habit. So I was just very motivated and got tired of doing things my own way. So I started creating a new. Did I fall short sometimes? Absolutely. Did I disobey a couple times? Yes. Did I fall short? A lot. Yes. But over time, when I knew that, okay, when I feel crappy or when I feel a certain type of way or something not going right, who I run to? God. I don't run to my friends. I don't run to my family. That was something I did when I first started, but I know better, I do better. Started. And when it's a desire, it sticks with you. It literally sticks with you. So God is a part of me. He is no longer a check off my to-do list. he is a desire now. But give yourself grace. This journey isn't easy at all, but you have to be willing to put up a fight, because once you join this fight, you become a warrior. It's the best decision that I have ever made. God has used me to help others, and they say this is the best decision they ever made, but it's tough. It's not easy. He doesn't promise it to be easy, but here on this earth, you gotta fight. You have to fight. It's gonna get hard, but it's worth the fight, and it does make your life a little bit easier at times. When you obey, obedience is better than sacrifice. I just wanted to share my little itty bitty testimony and give y'all some advice on the hard part of your spirituality, because this is what people don't talk about. They always talk about the positive things and the upbringing things, but they don't talk about the storm and the rain and the crying and the battles and the breaking bad habits. It's almost like ripping apart from someone that you love. When you break from those bad habits, it gets hard and it makes you stronger and it builds your character. I encourage anyone that's watching this to join this team, you know what I'm saying? I hope this video helped you out if you want to start your journey. I just want to show off my Golden Girls team because I love the Golden Girls. I used to watch them when I was little. That's it, babes. I will see y'all in my next video. Remember to keep it classy, and yeah.